Well, that's another week, and the teams are starting to look like they've settled a little bit.
Pollard and Zeke are getting it done, and it's making everything else easier for Dak and the rest of the offense to operate.
Another crazy weekend of football is in the books, so let's not keep you waiting any longer. It's time to dive into our Week 6 edition of the NFL Power Rankings. Number 32, Jacksonville Jaguars. Last time's ranking, 32. Another ugly, uninspiring loss by the winless Jaguars. This Urban Meyer hiring just looks worse and worse each week. He'll be put out of his misery soon enough, but this fan base deserves better than having to root for the first overall pick every year. Number 31, Detroit Lions. Last time's ranking, 31. Unlike the Jaguars, Detroit has actually been competitive in their games. They may be 0-5, but they could easily be 2-3 right now. You just gotta admire how hard the players are fighting under Dan Campbell. Eventually, the bounces will go their way. Don't expect this team to go 0-17. They're due for a win soon. Number 30, Houston Texans. Last time's ranking, 30. Nice to see Davis Mills put up a spirited effort against Bill Belichick's defense. That's not an easy thing for a rookie quarterback to do. That being said, it's still 4 straight L's for David Culley's team. Their Week 1 win against Jacksonville now feels like a lifetime ago. But hey, at least this time around, their fans have a first-round pick to look forward to. Number 29, New York Jets. Last time's ranking, 27. That was a tough loss to the Falcons in London following a thrilling Week 4 victory. But you're seeing the complete level in Robert Saleh's team. Now if they could just get more consistency from Zach Wilson, this team could start stringing some wins together. For now, the rookie quarterback and his team get a much-needed bye before flying out to Foxborough for a rematch against the Patriots. And trust me, they do not want a repeat of Week 2. Number 28, Miami Dolphins. Last time's ranking, 25. What was that? Wasn't Miami supposed to have a good defense? That was a horrendous effort against the defending champions. Jacoby Brissett kept this team in the game, but there was only so much that he and the rest of that offense could do. Tua Tagovailoa now returns to a 1-win team. Can he turn this ship around? He'll need to do so quick, with the Finns' playoff hopes fading fast. Number 27, New York Giants. Last time's ranking, 26. Not much the Giants could do in Dallas with Daniel Jones, Kenny Galladay, and Saquon Barkley hurt. Gotta hope those injuries aren't long-term, but this already feels like another lost season in New York. The most frustrating part is the regression of the defense, which nearly guided this group to a division title last year. Seriously though, what happened to these guys? Number 26, Atlanta Falcons. Last time's ranking, 29. Kyle Pitts has finally arrived, and Cordarrelle Patterson is the surprise breakout player of the year so far. This Atlanta offense has limitless potential. Matt Ryan has bounced back well after that ugly 0-2 start. They're still not contenders, but Arthur Smith's high-powered offense should continue to steal some W's here and there. Number 25, Washington Football Team. Last time's ranking, 19. In one of the most surprising developments of the season so far, Washington's defense has gone from elite in 2020 to downright atrocious in 2021. And now the Cowboys are running away with the division. Ron Rivera better figure things out soon, because the clock is ticking on this team's season. Number 24, Indianapolis Colts. Last time's ranking, 21. The Colts had it! Until they didn't. And now, after blowing a 19-point lead to the Ravens, they sit at a disappointing 1-4, rather than a tolerable 2-3. Their schedule eases up with games against the Texans, Niners, Titans, Jets, and Jags on tap over the next 5 weeks. But they've already dug themselves in quite a hole, and they can't afford any more losses if they want to get out of it. Number 23, Minnesota Vikings. Last time's ranking, 24. The Vikings barely avoided a disastrous home loss to the Lions, but hey, a win's a win. At 2-3, Minnesota is still alive in the playoff race. The defense is starting to look more like a vintage Mike Zimmer coach group, but the inconsistency on offense is becoming alarming. Hopefully, a healthy Dalvin Cook can fix that. Number 22, Philadelphia Eagles. Last time's ranking, 28. Well then, after 3 straight losses, the Eagles come into Carolina and stymie the surprising Panthers. What can we say? This is a tough team to get a read on. Jalen Hurts continues to look like a franchise quarterback, and the defense has been surprisingly good. Don't be surprised if these Eagles turn out to be a handful for the Bucs on Thursday night. Number 21, San Francisco 49ers. Last time's ranking, 16. Not sure if any playoff contender should be freaking out more than the 49ers.
I'm freaking out, man.
They barely beat the Lions and Eagles in the opening 2 weeks, and now they've dropped 3 straight contests, all against tough competition. The offense isn't as explosive as it should be given all the talent, and the defense has been up and down through 5 weeks. That bye week comes at an opportune time for Kyle Shanahan's group, which has been decimated by injuries for a second straight season. Number 20, Pittsburgh Steelers. Last time's ranking, 22. Perhaps no team was in a bigger must-win situation than the Steelers, who had dropped 3 in a row. But they got contributions on both sides of the ball, and Ben Roethlisberger turned back the clock against the previously 3-1 Broncos. Najee Harris broke through against one of the NFL's top defenses, and now they have a very winnable Week 6 home game against the Russell Wilson-less Seahawks. Number 19, New England Patriots. Last time's ranking, 23. The Patriots narrowly took care of business against the hapless Texans, but oh man, to think this team should be 5-0 or at worst 4-1. Anyway, Bill Belichick's team continues to find ways to win games, so we wouldn't rule out their chances of sneaking into the postseason. But they'll certainly have their work cut out for them next week against the Cowboys though. Number 18, Seattle Seahawks. Last time's ranking, 13. I'm gonna be perfectly blunt. The Seahawks are going to fall more and more down these rankings in the coming weeks. Not having Russell Wilson in the lineup will do that to you. Their 2-3 isn't awful, and Geno Smith looks good in relief, but it's hard to imagine this team won't struggle without their all-world quarterback. Number 17, Denver Broncos. Last time's ranking, 15. Maybe the Broncos are pretenders after all. After a 3-0 start, they've now dropped 2 straight. It's worth mentioning that their 3 wins came against the Giants, Jaguars, and Jets, so until they beat a half-decent team, it's hard to take them seriously. Number 16, Chicago Bears. Last time's ranking, 20. That was a statement win by the Bears. Their defense came into Sin City and held the explosive Las Vegas Raiders offense to just 9 points. Justin Fields wasn't great by any means, but he didn't have to be with the rushing game racking up 143 yards. The Green Bay Packers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are next on the schedule, so we'll find out if the Bears are actually for real or not. Number 15, Las Vegas Raiders. Last time's ranking, 11. What a disaster. As if suffering their second straight loss wasn't bad enough, the Raiders are now without their head coach after John Gruden was forced to resign following the release of his discriminatory emails. It's crazy to think that this team was occupying the number 2 spot in our rankings just a few weeks ago. This ship is sinking, and fast. Can interim head coach Rich Bisaccia right the ship, or will it be man overboard for Mark Davis's club? Number 14, Cincinnati Bengals. Last time's ranking, 14. That game against the Packers was truly something else. 5 missed field goals between Evan McPherson and Mason Crosby. A big-time lost opportunity for the Bengals, but let's be honest here, losing to the Packers in overtime is nothing to be ashamed of. Joe Burrow is the real deal, and these Bengals are surprisingly stingy on defense. The AFC playoff race is wide open, so don't sleep on Cincy. Number 13, Carolina Panthers. Last time's ranking, 12. That was a letdown if I've ever seen one. We didn't shame Carolina too much for losing in Dallas a week ago, but blowing a lead at home to the Eagles? Maybe these Panthers aren't who we thought they were after all. The schedule is gonna get tougher, but they should be getting some reinforcements very soon in the form of Christian McCaffrey and Stephon Gilmore. Will it be enough to get them back into the contender category? We'll find out soon enough. Number 12, Kansas City Chiefs. Last time's ranking, 10. This version of the Chiefs looks just about as beatable as they've ever been during the Patrick Mahomes era. Their offense can't avoid the turnovers, and their defense just cannot make a stop. They were close in their previous 2 losses to the Ravens and Chargers, but Andy Reid's club looked completely overmatched by Josh Allen and the Bills. That's bad news. There's officially a changing of the guard in the AFC, folks. Number 11, Tennessee Titans. Last time's ranking, 17. Well, the Titans are living up to their preseason expectations as a high-scoring team that also gives up a ton of points. Fortunately, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and A.J. Brown are a good bet to outscore most other teams, especially those in the AFC South. We can't classify them as legitimate Super Bowl contenders just yet, but the Titans will at least get a good shot at play-in for the Lombardi Trophy, as they look like clear-cut favorites to win the division at the moment. Number 10, New Orleans Saints. Last time's ranking, 18. This team is impossible to read. Blow out the Packers, lose to the Panthers, crush the Patriots, fall at home to the Giants, then beat Washington on the road? Well, I guess we'll just classify the Saints as a playoff contender for now. One game, Jameis Winston looks like Dr. Jekyll, and the next week, he's Mr. Hyde. He could be getting some help from Michael Thomas in the very near future, though. So you might want to keep your eyes on this team. Number 9, Cleveland Browns. Last time's ranking, 7. Baker Mayfield versus Justin Herbert did not disappoint. A true Game of the Year candidate. Still, it's a tough loss for the Browns, who had their chances to put it away. The injuries on defense are piling up, and the lack of depth on that side of the ball was exposed on Sunday. It doesn't get any easier either, with the undefeated Arizona Cardinals coming to town in Week 6. Number 8. Dallas Cowboys. Last time's ranking, 8. 'Twas another week of fireworks at AT&T Stadium, this time against the division rival Giants. It's only 5 games in, but Dallas already looks destined to run away with the NFC East. And yes, they could totally be in the running for the NFC's top seed.
The Dallas Cowboys are a team we have to start talking about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, and all of these other teams, Arizona Cardinals, that we're thinking can win the NFC.
Especially if Trayvon Diggs and company keep doing their thing on defense. Number 7, Los Angeles Chargers. Last time's ranking, 9. Another statement win for the Chargers, who narrowly outlasted the Browns in an afternoon thriller at SoFi Stadium. How do we know these aren't the same old Chargers? Well, they're actually coming through in clutch and winning those close games. Wins against the Chiefs, Raiders, and the Browns have helped these Chargers make a statement. And how about the work of Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley? At the moment, they're easily the frontrunners for MVP and Coach of the Year honors, respectively. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens. Last time's ranking, 6. These Ravens are resilient, I'll tell ya. They have now given us 4 absolute thrillers this season, and they've won 3 of them. Lamar Jackson has proven that he is capable of leading this team from behind with his arm, something that many have doubted he could do for quite some time. This man continues to silence the haters. It's time for everyone to start putting some respect on Lamar's name, folks. Number 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last time's ranking, 5. After consecutive lackluster performances on offense, the Bucs rebounded by destroying the Dolphins' defense on Sunday. It was way too easy for Tom Brady as usual, but the mounting injuries on defense are concerning. It'll be interesting to see how they hold up against the Eagles on a short week. Number 4, Green Bay Packers. Last time's ranking, 3. Remember all the hot takes and freakouts after the Packers got humiliated in Week 1? Yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers and the Pack have bounced back quite nicely, asserting themselves once again as a true NFC heavyweight. Despite injuries on defense, Joe Barry's group is more than holding down the fort. And the Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams connection is looking as unstoppable as ever. We know this team will be there in January, but the real question remains, can they finally make it to February? Number 3, Los Angeles Rams. Last time's ranking, 4. The Rams shrugged off a sluggish Week 4 home loss by getting past Seattle on Thursday night. Sean McVay's group is sitting pretty at 4-1, with the Giants, Lions, and Texans next up on the schedule. Nothing much more needs to be said. These guys are cooking. They check off all the boxes as a true Super Bowl contender. Number 2, Arizona Cardinals. Last time's ranking, 1. The Cardinals survived a scare against a 49ers team that couldn't get any offense going with Trey Lance making his first start. They are the only 5-0 team remaining, and with no legitimate weaknesses on the roster, there's no reason to believe that they can't make a serious run at their first Super Bowl title. Despite all that, they still drop a spot in this week's rankings. Why, you ask? Well, allow us to explain. Number 1, Buffalo Bills. Last time's ranking, 2. With all due respect to the undefeated Cardinals, it's pretty tough to argue who the best team is through 5 weeks. The Bills just went into Arrowhead and got some revenge for last year's AFC Championship loss by embarrassing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Buffalo has the NFL's best defense through 5 weeks, and it's not much of a debate. No team is more balanced than the Bills at the moment. Up next is a date with a Titans team that also embarrassed them last season. Will it be another week of redemption for Buffalo? But who do you think is the NFL's best team through 5 weeks? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.